You know what time it is.
Transformers.
What's up, Flick fans? Brand new Transformers movie. Admittedly, I didn't love the trailers, so is the movie good?
We were like brothers.
You ready?
Always ready. Let's punch in.
This is the untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as sworn enemies, but once were friends bonded like brothers who changed the fate of Cybertron forever. This film is rated PG, sci-fi violence, animated action, and a little bit of language throughout. You don't often see language in a PG animated film.
Language.
But I like the fact that these studios are somewhat pushing the boundaries, which is what you want in a Transformers film. Here's what I've always wanted in a Transformers live-action film. I've always wanted one that just kind of takes place on Cybertron, or not on Earth, with no humans. Samuel James Witwicky is not in this movie. Now look, I want it to be known that I don't have an issue with Samuel Witwicky. I'm actually a huge fan of the first Michael Bay Transformers. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. And the third one, but it got to the point to where I'm just sick of all the nonsense happening, and I just want it to be all about the Transformers. Now, this isn't a live-action movie. It's an animated film, but honestly, that gives them the chance to do a little bit more, go whatever stylistic direction that they want to go, and implement anything. You can do anything with animation, and I actually think the animation is really fun in this movie, as well as the way the characters look and feel, the fact that it actually feels like they are coming to life within the animation, and the action is handled in a super solid way. Some of the best we've ever seen from a modern Transformers movie. That's what I was excited about, but admittedly, I cared more about the character dynamics than I did the action. We get the action at the end. It's super fun. But I'm invested in this story, man. I love when a movie captures like a brotherly, a father-son, whatever it may be, sisterhood type of relationship, and brings it to life with characters that maybe we wouldn't expect it with, like Megatron and Optimus Prime. Now, you know where it's going to go. So the magic's not in the mystery. The magic's in the dynamic and relationship and how it progresses through the movie. Also, how they use and utilize comedies, sometimes to its detriment. We'll talk about that. But they know when to take themselves serious, and they know when to put that to the side. So it's not doing a certain franchise that often does that. Now, I think it's becoming overly repetitive. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, let's just say it.
There it is! There it is!
I like a lot of their humor, but sometimes wrong place, wrong time. That's not the case in this film. Even with that PG rating and a movie that is geared, that's a pun, towards kids, there we go, geared.
This guy stinks!
It still manages to implement those jokes beautifully. Now, some of those jokes are a little overbearing. And there's one joke specifically with Bumblebee, and he just kind of keeps doing it throughout the movie, and it wore me down as it went. I'm like, yeah, this was kind of funny the first time, but you keep doing it, and it keeps coming. But it never comes in at the wrong time. It's just a repetitive joke that gets old after a while. And so again, tonally balanced, the moments that need to feel more impactful with the humor, with the scary moments. I feel like a lot of kids will watch this and be like, all right, it's a little freakier than I expected. Not necessarily the case for adults. We've seen all of this before, but they're taking the Transformers and actually giving people what they want, whether it be fans of the 80s animated movie or fans of the modern Transformers movies. There's a little bit of that in there as well, doing sweet things with these characters and bringing us an interesting voice cast. And here's where we get to talk about Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime. Admittedly, different than Peter Cullen. We love Peter Cullen. He's amazing. And when I first heard Chris Hemsworth, I'm like, all right, I got to get used to this because it's not Peter Cullen. But you're seeing Optimus before he's really Optimus prior to that transformation. So you're going to get a different version of that. Same with Megatron. Tyree Henry does a nice job. I was more okay with that because we've heard numerous versions of Megatron in the past. You also have Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee. Scarlett Johansson's in this movie. And so a lot of major players. Sometimes it wasn't always perfect. Like Keegan-Michael Key at points sounded like Keegan-Michael Key. But I'm okay with that because it's Bumblebee and we know eventually that, doesn't speak. I thought Chris Hemsworth kind of nailed this, especially by the time we get to the end. He says some lines of dialogue post when he becomes and embraces Optimus Prime where I'm like, yeah, that's all right. I buy it. Again, it's different than Peter Cullen, but it's just similar enough, taking his own spin on it. And I'm like, I would be okay with seeing more of Hemsworth and more of Brian Tyree Henry as these characters. You buy it. And that's what this movie's all about. It's funny, another pun. You have to buy the transformation. Not when they transform into cars, but the character transformations from who they are in the beginning to Optimus Prime and Megatron, and realizing, uncovering this little plot thread that becomes a big plot thread. That's very obvious at the beginning. It's like, I know who you can and cannot trust in the beginning of the film. There's a mystery of sorts that they're trying to uncover. They don't even know it's a mystery at the beginning. That plot thread was something that I've seen 1,000 times in 1,000 movies, but I could imagine kids watching this and saying, I didn't see that coming. And I'm like, all right, well, then it's effective, right? And none of it is really cliche, right? The story itself is cliche, but at least it's not handled in an uninteresting way, because when you uncover these secrets, it becomes action-packed and very intense in a hurry, and it kind of delivers everything you want to see. Again, some mishaps along the way, but you're going to get that with a movie like this, and it's really honing in on what people want to see, and that's Transformers doing Transformer things. And by the time you get to the end, you're like, all right, that kind of delivered everything I want to see. Now, if you're not a huge hardcore Transformers fan, I don't know if you're going to love this. You may feel like it's just another conventional and somewhat predictable animated movie with two characters that eventually turn on each other. That's not a spoiler. It's even in the trailer. Come on. And again, that initial trailer made it look overly cheesy and kind of stupid. I admit that I was really wrong about it. And this film actually ended up delivering and balancing those things beautifully. Honestly, I don't have much more to say other than that sign says, I am your father, but somebody pointed out it says, I am fat. So also, if you want to support this review and this channel, dropping that like is the best way to do that. Transformers 1 gets it right. This film completely understands what fans are wanting to see and delivers on almost every aspect of it. The movie balances humor and more serious moments beautifully. There's plenty of incredibly effective action, and even the familiar voice cast isn't distracting. The comedy isn't always on point as certain jokes become repetitive, but it never gets in the way of what fans are here to see. And that is Transformers. More than meets the eye. Yeah, it's starting to hurt. Hey, my voice doesn't like that very much. All right, thanks for watching. What are you transforming into this weekend? Is it a car? Cool.